Allowing O'Sullivan to break.
Last in his group today against Ali Carter. Who knows, that may be the group decider. Most customary these days is Ronnie O'Sullivan breaking off left-handedly. He just feels he can get a better angle with the cue ball when he does that. It's the only reason for it. Excellent safety there from Yuan Sijun, appreciated by Ronnie. Playing somebody like a Ronnie O'Sullivan, a Mark Selby, John Higgins, any of the game's top stars, you have to start well against them, and you have to keep the pressure on them. There's no good going into your shell and playing negatively. You've got to attack them and give them the impression you're there to win the match and not just try and tie them up in knots and create openings. You've got to go for it.
These two have met each other on 3 previous occasions. O'Sullivan has prevailed in all of those meetings, but at the 2019 English Open, Yuan led O'Sullivan in the last 64, 3-1. The Rocket coming through to win 4-3 with an 87 break in the decider. And now the first chance will fall to Yuan.
A nicely struck shot this from Ronnie. He wasn't far away, just an inch or so. These are the chances you need to try to make the most of when you're playing game's top players, because creating opportunities or being given opportunities, as Yuan Sijun has been here, it doesn't happen too often.
Yuan is trying to protect an unblemished record in this tournament. Came through Group 9 in the first phase, and 9 was the number. The reason he got 9 points and won a perfect 9 frames out of 9. Up against him on that occasion was Lei Pei Fan, former world champion 60. Ken Doherty, and the big threat Barry Hawkins, who in his first 2 matches played very nicely indeed. It was Yuan who got the verdict in the match that mattered most.
I feel I've almost watched Yuan Sijun grow up as a professional player,
24.
really. I played him in an event in China when he was, I think, just 14 years old, and I was very impressed with him then. Showed an excellent temperament. He's carried through professional status. Of course, the standard is very
25.
high these days. It's not easy for anybody, these youngsters turning professional. Big test of players' temperament and abilities. Sijun certainly has plenty of ability.
$31.
2 straight on the red to the right centre, but May have this as an alternative. We'll be screwing back for the blue, I feel, into the right centre.
.32.
The fact that the pink has gone onto the yellow spot, I don't think will worry Yuan Sijun. The black's in open play. Plenty of loose reds to attack, so it's a good chance for him. But Ronnie O'Sullivan under immediate pressure.
37. 38.
It's taken a few years, but Ronnie O'Sullivan finally
43.
matched the record of Stephen Hendry in winning his 7th world title at the end of last season. And I suppose it's the same in any sport, Phil, isn't it? When you're the game's
44.
top star, everybody's trying to knock you off your pedestal, aren't they, really?
Well, I think with O'Sullivan, he's not just the finest player in the game, and the finest player for me in the history of the game, he's also massively box office and a huge personality.
51.
People link him with Jimmy White and Alex Higgins, the two People's champions. He's definitely in that lineage.
52.
But he's the world champion as well as the People's champion, so all of that rolled into one makes him a megastar in the game. I think the biggest star Green Bay's has ever had.
So in complete accord with you there. It's not often that the greatest player in a sport happens to be the most watchable, but I think you could say that Ronnie O'Sullivan is as watchable a player as anybody could ever be. Be fluent, attacking, quick player, beautiful cueist. Man who has everything, you could say. Now, has Yuan Sijun just overscrewed the cue ball there? I think he has. He was playing for the red near the right corner. But we saw yesterday how responsive his cloth is to spin. I think Yuan Sijun have just made a mistake there as we have a look at the replay. Did that keyboard just stop in time? Maybe.
59.
Yeah, I saw the cue ball there. Rebound from the side cushion. There's a little bit of spin on it, so it tells me he had to play a partial swerve there. So he doesn't have the angle he wanted to have on the black.
.66.
Before the match began, Yuan and indeed Chang Bingyu, who's involved on the other table, were practicing hard on
67.
the training tables. Already warmed up. He's hit the ground running.
.74.
Again, he significantly overscrewed the cue ball there. Wanted this red to the yellow pocket to be straight. But the job's done, really. Ronnie does need snookers now.
Yuan Sijun. 74.
Barker laid down.
O'Sullivan needs 2 snookers just to be able to win by single points, but he's more intent, I feel, on getting a bit of potting practice and getting a feel of the table. And he is on winning this first frame. important
What?
here for Yuan Sijun to make sure that Ronnie doesn't get that opportunity if he can avoid it.
He looks sharp, doesn't he?
Oh, this was an excellent pot.
6.
Been interested to see, had he missed this blue, whether Ronnie would have returned to the table for some potting practice. He may not get the chance to now. It's a great start from young Yuan Sijun.
$40. 50.
When you think, Dominic, last spring, he was actually relegated from the tour. And he immediately got his place back through Q School. Overcame Mitchell Mann in the final round of the first event to do so.
20.
I think that just underlines the depth of talent in the professional
21.
game at the moment, that someone like him, someone like Michael Holt, Kurt Mafflin, Andrew Higginson, the list goes on, could find themselves back at Q School. Fergal O'Brien's another that springs to mind.
Yes, I'm
27.
reminded of young Michael White, who was playing in most of the events last season as an amateur player, but had a
28.
terrific season. Got to the Crucible Theatre, won a lot of matches and did very, very well. Was unlucky not to win his group yesterday. Was probably the best player of the day, but just finally lost to Zhao Guodong in his last match, who prevailed to go through to the final stages.
32. 34.
Yes, White's a very good example, and I agree with you.
37.
He absolutely buzzed yesterday. Just ran out of steam though at the end.
41. 46. 52. 59 on the first frame.
That was short, but not very sweet for Ronnie O'Sullivan. Yuan Sijun, with breaks of 74 and 52, comprehensively wins the opening frame of the day.
The champion of champions.
He looked like he had it won. He looked like he lost it.
You can't say that's the killer blow. Well, you can say it was a hammer blow.
Two devastating breaks. He's on the brink.
101 for O'Sullivan. He's got a frame on the board. He looked mighty good in doing it.
What a way to open your account for the season. I get the feeling it will not be his last trophy this campaign.
the world champion, finds himself trailing 1-0 to Yuan Sijun. I was
Okay, Sijun.
underscoring what he did in the first
second
frame.
frame.
Actually, it was breaks of
Sijun
74 and
should-
59. That was impressive. So the world number one finds himself in arrears. Not so the UK champion. Over on the other table, Zhao Xintong won a much scrappier opening frame against Chang Bingyu.
Well, another chance at a long red from Ronnie, but he hasn't potted a ball yet. So there'll be a little bit of pressure on this, having lost that first frame so decisively. Long way out there. The other problem is, of course, Ronnie hasn't got his timing on this particular cloth yet, because timing of the ball varies on every cloth that you play. Hasn't had much table time yet, Ronnie. And of course, he's seen all this before in his illustrious career, which began way back in 1992.
One.
That's the difference. He's playing against a man who's had some table time and has got his confidence up. That was another good pot from Yuan Sijun, although I think he would have been a little bit disappointed to have missed it. But the positional aspect of the shot was excellent as well. Black may well pot into the left corner, but certainly not the right. There are only two
Six.
more loose reds that are easy available for Yuan Sijun, so he may look for an angle here, perhaps, and a bulk colour to go into the reds.
Seven.
Took the cue ball in and out of bulk. He's nicely on the blue. Only player power stun into the pink to break open the reds, I wonder here. Going to pick off the loose ones first. A lot of players would have gone into the pack there, but there are a few that don't like to do that until the last minute. Mark Williams springs to mind. Like to just pick off a few loose reds before going into them. Dread Trump, however, completely the opposite. Dread Trump, a player, likes to go into the pack at the
Yuan Sijun
earliest
12.
opportunity. Now that's the first mistake we've seen really from Yuan Sijun. Can Ronnie O'Sullivan capitalise?
I've been noticing on YouTube that he's been making 147s in exhibitions, O'Sullivan, around the country.
Thank you. One. Eight. Nine.
Of course, if he were to go all the way in this group, then again on Friday, and win the whole shebang, it would be a milestone achievement. It would be his 40th world ranking title.
Oh, that was beautifully controlled. Ronnie was much thinner on the blue than he'd
40.
like to have been, so you can see here is straighter on it, the corner pocket. Managed to dig into the cue ball, make fire
50.
cannon into the reds. Now he's got a great chance from here. Better break builder in the game than Ronnie O'Sullivan from a position such as this. Seems to be flexing his cue arm a little bit. Maybe there's a bit of stiffness there, but I did notice on my return to the hotel yesterday evening, he was on the practice table around 8 PM, working on his game, such as his keenness.
20.
Now this is just a tad trickier than it might appear.
Cheers.
Well done.
Thanks.
But because so much
21.
concentration was put into the pot, he's ended up short of the blue.
Yes, and he's reasonably straight on it, so this will have to be a power shot. Oh, he's got to finish on something here, surely. Oh, and he just maybe read into the right
26.
corner.
$27. $32.
Once again going into the reds, and it's finished well for Ronnie. Black's available into the
30.
opposite corner. But the three reds just in a sort of a shelf to the right of the black. They're all blocking one another, I think. Just over around ideal position here, Ronnie. He's on the red okay to the left corner, but he's high on it. Because the black doesn't pot to the same pocket,
40.
in fact, it won't pot anywhere now, he's going to have to be a little bit careful positionally here. No guarantee at all this will work out well.
It's working out well for Zhao
40.
Xintong on the other table. The standard this week in the second phase has risen extraordinarily. And Zhao is contributing. The black for a 145 total clearance. In it goes.
Sullivan, 41.
As easy as you like. Zhao Xintong leads Chang Bingyu 2-0.
Ronnie, you saw, didn't get good position on the colour, but took the blue on anyway. There was pressure on it. It hasn't gone in. A reasonable chance here for Yuan Sijun to get back into this frame. He comes to the table 29 points behind, but as you can see, both pink and black are tied up. So a lot of work to do here.
One.
I think he tried to make an angle there that just didn't exist. By the way, Zhao
Brown
Xintong's
ball.
break of 145, the highest of the tournament so far. Also the 79th century
Sijun, what?
in the tournament. Now, if there is 100 centuries in this by the end, considering they're 4-frame matches, that would be otherworldly for me. That would be one of the great collective break building achievements, I think, of all time. Would you agree, Dom?
On the face of it, most certainly I would. It's one of those statistics I'd like to sort of sum up the number of frames in total played and equate them to the number of centuries made to work that out, but you're probably right. The reason I say that, if you look at the statistics of players like Ronnie and Judd Trump, they average making a century every sort of 10, 11 frames, something like that. Well, if I knew how many frames would be played in the total event combined with the number of centuries made, yeah, I think that could be equation bettered.
Well, let's say there's 20 matches or 20 frames played in each group. That would be 640 frames played in the first phase. Another 160 in the second phase. You're talking around 850 frames.
It is noteworthy when you consider this is the first real tournament of the season for most of these players who haven't had 2 or 3 months of match play behind them really, nor practice. So yeah, it is quite a remarkable feat, that. Sijun would love to play a couple of safety shots that involve developing pink and black if he can. There's a chance to do that here. Developing the black, he needs it. He's 28 points behind, and well, he's got to be happy with that, I think. He has left a potential red for Ronnie O'Sullivan to attack into this left corner, but it's not going to look too easy for Ronnie. He hasn't really found his rhythm yet.
Now that is worrying. Despite missing the red, he got a reasonable cue ball. But that rogue red went close to a pocket.
One.
O'Sullivan will be relieved to see that kiss.
That wasn't really a good shot from Yuan Sijun. Really should have avoided the cannon on the black there. Just needed to punch it through a little more, and if he'd have played it well, he'd have cannon pink and black into, I beg your pardon, the pink into play as well there, and retain position on the black, so he will be disappointed. Taking the green on. Oh, that's brilliant. Because sometimes you'll take a green on like that through sheer disappointment at not having played the previous shot better. That was a very bold shot choice and well executed, just a little unfortunate. But he hasn't finished better on a red.
We saw a shot almost identical to that from Jamie Jones yesterday, but the key difference was he knocked it in when the frame was over. This is very much alive.
Five.
Here's another look at that green from great perspective, I have to say. You could almost play the shot with Yuan Sijun there, but he's followed it up with an excellent pot on the red. He knew he'd be cannoning the pink into play. One more good shot required here. Took a lot of care on it, and it's gone in. And all of a sudden, the table is open. The only difficult ball that remains is the blue. He may well need it. Still
11.
17 points in arrears. 51 remain. He'll probably need the blue.
$12.
Yeah, the great thing is for Yuan, even if the blue is required, more than likely the pink won't be, so you'll just have to roll it in, not think about any kind of position, come down for the pink, and that makes life so much easier.
You wouldn't normally play for the black where it is. It's in a bit of a sort of
18.
no man's land where it is. Play a direct wise. Is he considering running through With this off 2 cushions for the pink in the left centre. He's changed his mind. Direct screw
90.
back for the pink into the corner pocket. He's just overdone it. So a little bit of work positioning required here. He may well consider the black now. In all honesty, I think he does need to take the black on, because putting the pink with the rest and coming twice across the table for the red to right centre, the shot that could fail him. That's a good camera shot. You can see the severity of the cutback. This is very missable. And I guess the pace he'll be playing it at, if he does miss it, he could well leave it on for Ronnie.
$27.
Brown would put him 3 ahead on arrival at the colours. And now, as we suspected, the blue will be, of course, required.
31.
But, very crucially, not the pink.
Thank you. Go on, you're right.
That's always a shot that can go wrong. You have to get as close as possible to the green as you come past it to leave a good angle on it. But again, he needs to make sure he's high enough here on the brown to get onto the blue. Oh,
36.
that's a poor one from Yuan Sijun. He'll be very disappointed, but in some ways very fortunate that he still has a chance of this brown into the top right-hand pocket. As we look, he can screw back for the blue into the green pocket from it, so still a chance here. But all of a sudden, it's become a lot harder than it needed to be. That cannon on the blue wasn't intended.
$40.
O'Sullivan will come back to the table.
Yuan Sijun. 40.
He's done well though, nevertheless. He's just left Ronnie with one of the trickiest safety shots on the table, really. Do well to get this safe.
Needed a fuller kiss than that. As it is, the gap is there between pink and black. Yuan Sijun can cut the blue in.
Got to play this plain ball. Almost aim the cue ball for the pink, really. Never know, he could knock one of them safe. He's gone astray. Well, he had to take it on, and I think he played it the correct way, in all honesty. It was just one of those pots that you take on that you can miss, and if you do, you are going to leave it over the pocket. Can Ronnie get on the pink from here?
$5.
Well, he can take the pink on. Doesn't have the right angle. The cube will be travelling up towards a blue spot. Oh, he's going to dig down. Is he taking it on? more inclined to the safety aspects
Ronnie
of the
O'Sullivan,
shot.
5.
And it is safe.
They're also on pink and black on the other table. Chang Bingyu needs a snooker. Looks like Zhao Zhentong is going to win 3-0. He was 56-0 down in this frame. He just made a 70 clearance to blue to almost get over the line. It's there from Zhao. 3-0 it is. Oh, but it's going to be 2-0 here, surely. The world champion, Ronnie O'Sullivan, in early trouble in this group.
Six. And the frame. Yuan Sijun.
Yuan Sijun didn't win that frame cleanly, but it mattered not in the end. He doubles his advantage. Ronnie O'Sullivan, the best he can do in his opening match here is a draw. Can he pull that out of the fire? We'll find out after the break. High-octane snooker at the Bedvictor Championship League, but still
Thank you.
not out of first gear.
The third
Ronnie
frame.
O'Sullivan trails
Ronnie
Yuan
O'Sullivan to
Sijun
break.
2-0. Now, we saw yesterday with Zhao Guodong, he drew his first match and then ended up winning the group. So if O'Sullivan can emerge from this with a point, he's still very much in there battling. A defeat, though, especially a 3-0 defeat, would have him massively on the back foot.
It's absolutely Sijun to be delighted with the start that he's made, but he's played some really good snooker as well. O'Sullivan can't afford another mistake, you'd feel. To all the best he can hope for.
If it yeah, it's all right, Ronnie. We'll get it sewn on for the next game. Yeah.
I think O'Sullivan's having a logo issue.
Yes, a lot of the time they're stuck on with double-sided tape and they're okay for a little while, but every now and again you'll play a shot and your cue, the act of striking the ball, will actually take the corner of your logo off, and somehow your logo tends to adhere to the cue itself, and it causes all kinds of problems with timing the shot because they're very sticky, these logos. Your cue sticks to them, tends to sort of jam your cue as you strike the cue ball, and you tend to make some terrible mistakes. There it is. It's on the floor.
Everything happened simultaneously at the end of the last frame, so let me just repeat that Zhao Xintong has beaten Chang Bingyu 3-0 in no time. What a performance it was. The first frame was disjointed. Second frame he made a 1-4-5, the highest break of the tournament so far. And then from 56-0 down in the third, he cleared up with 70 to the blue, and that was sufficient. So Zhao off to a flyer. Next up over there, it is Mark Allen against Gary Wilson.
That for me is the best safety shot that Ronnie's played, although Yuan Sijun could come off the side cushion here and snick that red in that's near the right corner. Doesn't have to attempt that, but if he rolls up to it, could leave a red on into the left centre pocket for Ronnie. That's what he's played, and that red that's near the pink spot is on for Ronnie if he wishes to take it on, and he may well do, being 2-0 behind.
A weak safety shot in both senses of the word. Now can O'Sullivan start to find some fluency?
1.
He certainly needs to find some fluency very quickly here, Ronnie, but this is a good chance. Problem being for Ronnie, if he does pot the black, I think it will be immediately tied up by the red that's next to the black spot.
6.
I think that red may pot into the right corner, so if Ronnie can get onto that red that's near the black spot, it would help him enormously.
Seven.
He's looking at the pink, but this is so tough. It is such an acute entrance into the pocket, so only gave that a very short shrift. No one's been better in the history of the game at that shot than him. That recovery blue.
30.
And then, although he didn't quite take your advice, Tommy, he knocked the red away anyway. He has that beautiful view, blue I should say. Not just potting it, but the action on the cue ball as well.
Oh, coupled with that, the pressure that he was under, he couldn't afford to miss it. Really, could have been end of match had he done so. And you're right,
21.
he did finish nicely on a red to actually cannon away the red that was causing the problems. And now all of a sudden, this is a chance that Ronnie would expect to take full advantage of, really.
$26. 27.
Well, that could
34.
turn out to be quite an unfortunate split. It was a robust one. He went right into the heart of the bunch. Yeah, that was a really tough
Ronnie
cut
O'Sullivan,
back.
34.
He was unlucky there.
Yes, I don't think Ronnie was entirely to blame there. He went into the reds beautifully. Just very unfortunate not to have anything easy to attempt afterwards. With that red finishing so near the corner pocket, it makes it a big pocket now for Yuan Sijun. I'm sure he'll take the leftmost red of the three near this right side of cushion. He's playing the middle one. He can still play for the black from it. Yeah, well played. Just look at the position of the reds. He comes to the table initially 34 points behind. Let's count the number of reds that remain. There are 3, 6, there are 9 reds that still remain. I don't think that Yuan Sijun will have to worry about that tricky red up near the yellow there. If he can take high value colours with the open reds. Of course, there is another red that's awkward near that right side cushion there. They have ample opportunity to cannon that into play during the course of the break if he needs that red as well.
Thanks, Sijun. Ooh, thank you. 9. $16. $17.
He's the world number 80, Yuan Sijun. He's about to bridge a gap of 79 places in those rankings. And immediately turn this group upside down almost with a victory.
24. $25.
Having done a little bit of mathematics, Yuan Sijun will most certainly need one of those
30.
two difficult reds near the cushion rails. I don't expect the one that's just behind the black to cause too much of a difficulty to Yuan Sijun, but the one that's near the bulk line there, one that's close to this right side cushion, could prove problematical.
Yes, on these Rasson tables over the course of the last 19 days, it's apparent that
40.
if you drop correctly on a red across the top cushion and float it in for the black or another colour, you're fine. But if you don't get the correct angle
40.
and you have to punch the red in, well then, that's when the pocket becomes a lot less appealing. Now I know what I've just said applies to most tables, all tables, but I think it's even more
48.
so on these. Now the angle here is okay, but not absolutely ideal.
49.
Had to hit that one with a certain degree of pace, but nevertheless, it went in without issue.
I need a good positional shot here. Delicate stun shot required to play for the outermost of the two reds to the right. Judged it well, but now the work's going to begin for Yuan Sijun. It's a lead, as you can see, of 22
56.
points, so needs red, black, red and high value colour. That should be enough for him. It's easy said and done.
Thank you. 57.
An involuntary grunt there as he left the table. He's only 22 years of age. Doesn't like that, short
64.
of where he wanted to be. Not quite obtaining the angle off the top cushion either. Served on much like the previous frame.
Yuan Sijun.
Yuan Sijun not able to win it
64.
cleanly.
No, I was a little surprised he didn't attempt to cannon the red into play there. He had enough angle on the black to do that, but it's his decision to try and drop in behind it. Just didn't play it well enough. But Ronnie now can't afford another mistake. 30 points behind, still 43 remain. He has cannoned into play the only remaining difficult red. Yuan Sijun needs to be very careful here now not to provide an opportunity for Ronnie to clear up from.
If there was a rule which said that a player can just pick up one ball and put it somewhere on the table to his benefit, I'm sure Yuan would pick up a high value colour and put it as safe as possible on a side cushion. But of course it doesn't work like that.
One.
That works though. What a pot!
Fabulous pot this was. He knew he was guaranteed a good cue ball, and it's the right shot to play for me, because if that red wobbles it will probably remain down this top end of the table. Now he's 31 points
Sijun
ahead.
won.
He didn't attempt the yellow, he's knocked it safe. Took Phil Yates's advice there. He has snookered Ronnie on the remaining red. Decent escape from Ronnie, but he has left this red on. And the way Yuan Sijun's performed in this match so far, I think I'd expect him to get this. Match ball coming up.
One.
Yuan Sijun equal to the task. How about this for a story to start the day?
Yuan Sijun 1.
O'Sullivan needs a couple of snookers. It's unlikely, Dom, but I can think of at least 2 frames in this tournament already that have been won when a player does need a couple of snookers. One of them was yesterday, Ben Wollaston.
Well, there's no doubt about it. The colours are in a very good position from Ronnie's point of view to obtain the snookers that he needs, but he's got to hope, of course, that Yuan Sijun doesn't escape from them.
Of course, if he potted yellow, green and brown, then got the snooker on the blue, if that was successful, he could then pot blue, pink and black. Also respotted black. But when you get down to just 3 balls on the table, you better make sure that the initial snooker is a good one. You know, Dominic, so far it's been a great tournament for the Chinese contingent. We've got 3 of them through to finals day already. Look what's happened so far this morning. Yuan Sijun standing on the verge of victory over Ronnie O'Sullivan. Zhao Xintong racing through his first match with a 3-0 victory as well.
Frame, match. Yuan Sijun. Thank you, Sijun.
O'Sullivan now concedes. And so,
Cheers, Ronnie,
what
thank you.
a shock to begin the day. Ronnie O'Sullivan